Welcome to the Migraine Miracle Moment. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Turknet. I'm a neurologist, migraine specialist, migraine sufferer, and author of the book, The Migraine Miracle. In this podcast, you'll learn all about how to find your path to migraine freedom without pills. Let's get started. Howdy, Bee Slayers. Welcome to another episode of The Miracle Moment. Today, I am going to be addressing a question or a topic that rears its head from time to time, and that is the question of whether migraines can be cured. So, why are we talking about this? Well, as you know, the mission of this podcast and everything in the Migraine Miracle universe is to try to share the Migraine Miracle program with all the folks who need it. And that's because for me and for so many others, it has been the thing that worked for their migraines where everything else had failed. But by the same token, you may have heard some people say that migraines are incurable. And I've talked before about some of the harmful myths about migraines, including the one that they are a genetic condition. And the thinking here going that if you have migraine genes, then you must accept recurring visits from the beast as your fate. And then along that same line of thinking is the idea that migraines can't be cured. You know, you have this fate. It is what it is. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. And so the only real option in that scenario is to take medications for it when it comes. And sometimes people will make this claim about migraines being incurable somehow as a way of discrediting the program, claiming that it can't work because migraines can't be cured. And so is this true? Is it true that migraines are an incurable condition? Well, the reality here is the question itself doesn't really make any sense. The question of whether or not they can be cured and reflects a basic confusion about migraines themselves. So let's try to clear this up with an analogy. You've probably discovered by now that I love analogies. They really help us to view our thinking about a subject through fresh eyes and a different perspective so that we can escape the same ruts in our thinking that we often fall into, and if we've spent any significant amount of time thinking about a particular topic. Okay, so imagine one day that you wake up and you're covered head to toe in an itchy rash. And you go to the dermatologist and she tells you that it's an allergic reaction. But neither she nor you know what's triggering it. And over the course of the next several days, the rash waxes and wanes. And finally, you discover that there's a new chemical that's been added into your laundry detergent that you use. And so you switch detergents and the rash goes away. And so now, as long as you avoid that chemical, you won't experience that rash again. So from then on, you avoid the chemical and you never experience another rash. Now, does that mean you are cured of this condition? And I think most people wouldn't consider that to be a cure in the pure sense of the word. That's because the potential for this particular reaction, in this case a rash, still exists. If you're exposed to the chemical, it's still going to happen. But from a practical perspective, now that you've identified the issue, you understand fully about what it is, what's causing it, you've effectively cured yourself of the problem, right? And like a rash, migraines are a physiological reaction that occurs under certain conditions inside the brain. So if we are able to prevent those conditions inside the brain from occurring, then we won't be visited by the beast. And probably one of the biggest takeaways from everything that we do here is that the driving factor behind whether or not those conditions occur inside the brain is our environment, not our genes. So in the book, I liken migraines to a fever or a cough. So both of these are a set of physiological events. They're stereotyped, and they occur in reaction or in specific circumstances. Again, just like migraine. And just like migraine is the fact that they are a physiological reaction that can occur in any person. So any brain can experience a migraine. Some brains may be more predisposed than others, but the evidence indicates that the migraine process is a very old one in evolutionary terms, going back many, many millions of years, well before the emergence of the human species. Which is why the question of whether migraines can be cured doesn't really make sense. It's like asking if you can cure fever or you can cure coughing. Sure, if you never encounter anything that brings on a fever or a cough, then you'll never experience those things again. But the potential for those things still exists inside of you, and it really wouldn't make sense to say that you've been cured of those things. So, if our objective is to never experience them again, or to experience them as little as possible, then our objective isn't to cure migraines, but rather to just avoid creating the conditions in the brain that lead to their emergence. And that is the entire point of the Migraine Miracle Program. I would never claim that it or anything else is a cure, but because the idea itself doesn't make any sense. It would be foolish to pursue such a thing.